Good evening, everyone. So, last session we learned how to handle communication with API, get the data from API, and present in our React. For that, we used fetch promise of JavaScript for doing that. Have you tried the shopping example I showed you? Two APIs I showed, the NASA API, another one is Fakestore. In that Fakestore, up to certain level we designed, right? We created up to certain level. We are using the complete Fakestore API methods they given, and from there we are filtering the data and displaying. So this is the design we created up to now. In this, we are fetching the data from API and we are displaying the data, and we applied a small filter also. Whenever user changes any category, the category related products will come and the category related products will display. Now let's put some more logic into this, right? Now what should happen is, when user selects any product, the product related detail must come. Actually, here we will go to CSS. In the header, this is card header, 100 pixel. So that looks little small. That's okay. Now what I want is, when user selects any product here and user clicks on add to cart, that particular item must be added to cart. We are continuing this example. And I want to display how many items are in the cart here. I want to display how many items are in the cart there. So what we need to do, actually we need to learn so many other techniques also. We will see that, we will implement that. So when user clicks this button, add to cart button, we need to get information of this particular product. This product related information should come. And this must be added into this place. That means how many products are there in the cart we need to maintain. So we need a separate collection, and that collection tells how many items are in the cart. How many items are in the cart, we need a collection. So what we will do is, first we will go to the design. In the header area, this is the div where we have the cart. Here I am just keeping a container. Just I am adding one container. That is actually, it can be a span. In that, another span is here. Usually that must be clickable for me later. If it is clickable, then better what to do is, you keep that in a button. I am using a button. In that we have that span. That means actually this becomes a button here. So this is a button. Usually button looks like this. That cart symbol looks like a button. Okay, you can see that looks like a button. And what I will do is, for that I will apply the class btn. So btn is enough so that it can remove that symbol. And I will say btn some light. It will apply some color for that. And after that cart symbol, what we are doing is, so here, that is the cart symbol. And we will add a span there. This is button. In the button you have a span. Here we will put another span. This span will have a class name, badge, bg, some danger. Okay. Now we will keep here a class as position. Position is relative. And for this, I will give position. Position is absolute. And I just give one number there temporarily. Temporarily, I will keep 0. Later, we will put a dynamic value. And this will have rounded circle. Like this, I am giving. Usually, that is a simple icon here. We are keeping a simple icon there. So as of now, our cart items are empty. Nothing is there. We created a button and made that available in that way. So this is why I given like a button, because I want clickable. Later we can add. So this is the basic appearance. Now what we need to do is, when user clicks add to cart, any product user can select. So when user clicks add to cart, that item should be collected and stored in a separate array. Because in cart, they can add several items. I want to maintain a separate array. So let's go to the logic. Here, we will create another state. This is cart items. Cart items is an array. Set cart items. And it is an array. So use state. It is an array. Empty array I am defining. Whatever items user is adding, those items must be added into this cart items. That must be added into the cart items. So here, this cart items is currently empty. I will do one thing. I will put here another state, that is cart count. This is cart count. And the set cart count. And here I will say use state. Cart count is a number. Initially, how much it is? 0. Now what I will do is, I will write a function. The function name is get cart count. How to get the cart count? So we will use set cart count. Its number, how many items are in the cart. So that is array. What is the array? Cart items array. So we will access cart items dot length. Dot length will get how many items are there. That means count depends on how many items are in this array. So how many items are currently in the array? 0. So it will get 0 and it will store in cart count. Where to display this cart count? Right side here, we want to display the cart count here. Here I given 0 na. Here I will display cart count. We need to get cart count. But when to update the cart count? So we need to define on use effect. We have to get cart count. Get cart count is the method which should fire up when use effect. That means usually it should get that 0 and display here. This time this 0 is not hard coded. This is coming from cart count. And currently how many items are there in the cart? 0. Usually it will show 0. Okay. Now I need to write logic for this add to cart button click. But very challenging one is here. When add to cart button click, this product related information we have to collect and add that into cart items array. That means now we have to write logic for add to cart button click. Let's see where is that add to cart button click. Here we are generating a card dynamically. In this card, in the card footer, add to cart button is there. This button should have a click event. On that click event, which product they clicked, that product information we want to collect. So that product information we need to access. So first we need to write this button click. We have to write the button click. So I am writing the button click. How to write button click? On click. On click is equal to handle add to cart click. That is the function. Currently that function is not written. I will write that. So I will write the function here at the top. I am writing a function and the function is add to handle add to cart click. This is the function. It will fire up when user clicks add button. Let's test alert. I will say add clicked. I'm just testing first. Is that button working or not properly? Okay. Now this is the page. I selected jewelry. I click on a product. Then it fires up add click. But on add clicked, I need to get this product details. I need to get that particular product details. How we can get that particular product details? So see what I am doing. We will use an event argument E, but event argument will get object related details. So what we need to do here is see clearly. I will go to this button logic. You see currently we are using a map. Map means we are reading every product information. In that product information, every product have an ID. What we will do is we will send this ID to that method so that user can know, we can know which product ID they clicked. Right? How to send this ID on button click? On button click, if you want to send the ID for this button, I will put a ID for the button, and this will be product.id. That will be product.id. That means current product ID is assigned to button. And we can access the product ID by accessing button ID. Now button ID is product ID. That means the button ID is attached as product ID. So when user clicks the button, this ID we can collect, which is product ID. That means now see here how to collect that. We have to use event argument now. E. In the event argument, we need to collect its ID. How to collect the ID? We will use e dot target dot ID. That is able to access the button ID. E dot target dot ID. Now let's run this and see. I will select some electronics. I click on add to cart button. Its ID comes 9. Now I go to jewelry. I click on this, its ID is 5. Suppose I click on this, its ID is 6. So we are able to access the ID of that product. It is 7. Okay. Once you can access the ID, we have to fetch only that ID related product. And we need to add that into cart items. That means we need to fetch that ID related product. How to fetch ID related product? Actually, Fakestoreapi is having products / ID number. It will get specific ID product and it will display. That means this URL can filter only the product that belongs to that ID. And it can get all that product information. Now what you can do is, you can use this URL for finding the product, which one they clicked, get this and add to cart items. That means now what we will do, let's implement that here. We need to fetch only that ID related product. How to fetch that ID related product? We will use a fetch here. What is the fetch URL? Fetch URL is http://fakestoreapi.com/products/ID. ID is coming from dynamically, it is coming from e.target.id. That means it is fetching only the product whose ID is matching with the button ID you clicked. Then we have to use response and response.what.json. After that, we have to use we have to collect the data. What we have to do? This data is an object. This object must be added into an array called cart items. Into cart items array, we need to add this. So how you can add any item into an array? How you can add any item into array? To add any item into array, we have to use an array push method. We have push, we have unshift like methods. So what I will do is, what is the array name? Array name is what? Cart items. Cart items dot push. Into that cart items, we need to push. What to push? So we need to push here, so that particular one. But this is one technical point you need to understand. Currently we are using state. We are using a state. That means into this, I am pushing that item. What is that item? Data. Whatever data comes, we are pushing in that. Right now, the question is this cart item is having the data? Is this enough? We can push like this. So I will see here. We will put one more option here. What is it? Console.log. We are printing cart items. Cart items we are printing. Console.log cart items. That means just we are testing it first. I will open inspect. In the inspect, let's go here. Here you can select console. Yeah. In the console, you select a category, electronics or jewelry, some category. You click on add to cart. Then you can see it is an array and that item is added. That means we are pushing that into that. Which item you selected, it is added now. I will do one more here. You see, I am selecting another category, electronics. In that electronics, I selected some TV, something, add to cart, it is added. Now we have two items there. And its length is also updated to 2. Now very important, cart items is coming, fine. Now into that cart items, this length should update now. How many items are there in the cart? It should update. That means now what we are doing here, I am removing this. That means item is successfully added. After item is successfully added, we need to update the count. We need to update the count. That means we need to call get cart count function here. Get cart count function here. Get cart count function here. When you do that, you see now here, I will refresh. Yeah. And you can see now, I am selecting electronics. I am adding here add to cart. You see one item is there. We can put an alert. We can put an alert. So you can see here, I selected men's clothing and I selected one item here and it says 2 items in the cart. That means the cart count is updated here and it is displayed. You can see the count is updated here. Now, important concept is you are updating the cart count, right? We are displaying that cart count. Actually, this cart count is, you can show alert whenever item is added. What is that alert we have to define? So we can add an alert. I will say here, in the alert, I am printing data.title. Data.title, so /n added to cart. This message I am giving. Now, actually, what happens is here, it is initially 0. I selected here one item, add to cart. Then it says men's cotton jacket added to cart. I say okay, then cart item is count added. I selected some jewelry. I selected the second one and it says solid gold added to cart. Okay, then now item is 2. That means we are able to collect only what we need. Now the point is when user clicks this button, I want to show them. When user clicks that button, I want to show what are the items he added into cart. I want to display. There are so many ways to display. Actually, we can use Bootstrap pop-ups. But for Bootstrap pop-ups, you need to learn how to integrate jQuery also. You need to, because Bootstrap uses a lot of jQuery. It uses a lot of jQuery. You need to import jQuery Bootstrap functions. Then you can implement them. You can implement. You cannot directly handle them. Right? I will show you. Actually, React people, no need to depend on complete Bootstrap. For general styles, they can use Bootstrap. For pop-ups, for buttons, and for other controls, we have a separate UI called React Material UI. React people use that Material UI for designing such pop-ups and all. I will discuss that after we finish the concept of components. Because after you are perfect in components, then you can learn that ready-made components provided by React UI. Actually, suppose if I want to create a pop-up here, generally how we create a pop-up? Actually, you need a lot of JavaScript jQuery for that because Bootstrap have pop-ups. Huh? Actually, Bootstrap pop-up means you see here, I will create. Where is that button? So this is the button we are having. Below this button, we will keep a div. This div will have a class called model. Bootstrap have a model. Now what happens is this model, actually this is the model. Now in this model, we have to create a class. So the class name is, so you have the class as model dialog. In that model dialog, we need to create a class name as model content. In this, we put a heading. I will put a heading like your cart items. Later we will design that. Right now here, the model have an ID. The model ID is, model have an ID called, suppose, cart. That is the ID. Now this cart must open when they click this button. That means for this button, we have to write data BS target. Data BS target is equal to, we have to write data BS target is hash cart. And the data BS toggle is model. This is how we design a model in general JavaScript and jQuery. Means Bootstrap, in general Bootstrap. Usually what happens here is in this, I click on that, it should open that pop-up. But actually, you see, when I go to inspect, and you can see here, when I go to console, and you can see when I click on this, there is nothing pop-up. Means there is nothing coming, because actually Bootstrap requires Bootstrap jQuery things to use here. So we need to include, we already include Bootstrap and Bootstrap icons, where we included in index.js, we are including Bootstrap and Bootstrap icons, right? Already node modules, Bootstrap icons, CSS we are including. Actually, we have to include a lot of JavaScript jQuery related Bootstrap concept also. Actually, what we need, suppose I'm using import what? From node modules. In that we have Bootstrap, in that we have dist, in that we have JS, in that Bootstrap bundle.js. Bootstrap bundle.js, this is what we have to import actually. This is going to enable Bootstrap JavaScript. That means it will enable Bootstrap jQuery. Which will create such pop-ups. You can see a pop-up comes here. It is having some cut. Right, that is the pop-up created. You can change the appearance. Bootstrap bundle is important. Right, once you create this Bootstrap bundle is linked. Now you can use those jQuery attributes. That means what you have to do, go here, and for this, what we need to do, let's add here. So model header is there. And in that, actually, this is model content. In model content, you have sections. What is the section? We will have a class called model header. In this model header, we will give your cart items. That is the model header. Actually, this model header will have a button. And this button is having a class called btn close. And this button should close the model. We use data BS dismiss. Dismiss is equal to, it should dismiss model. And for model, we will add an effect called fade so that it will slowly load. Actually, what happens now? And when I click on this, it should open that model and display here. And close button should close it. And for header, we will change the class as text primary. That means when I click on this, so when I click on this here, it will pop up and it says your cart items. Now what happens when I click on close? Then it will close. Now what we want to do is, when user clicks on this, those cart items must display. Those cart items must display here. That means below we want to display those cart items and show those cart items here. Actually, cart items are present in a separate arena. Then what we will do is, this is model header. We will create another div. And here we will put a class name. This is model body. In this model body, I will create a table. And for this table, I will put a class called table and table hover. In this table, we will create a table header, T head. In this, we will create a row. In this, we will create a heading. In the first heading, I want to display title. In the second heading, I want to show preview. In the third heading, I want to show price. Only these three things I want in the cart. Now, below the table header, we need to create a table body. Here we need to add all the items which are present in cart items array. That means here we need to create a map for which one? Cart items dot map. We have to read every item and we need to present every item as a row. In the row first cell, what we have to display? Item dot what? Title. I want to display item title. Second what? In the second cell, what we need to display? Item dot what? Image. Image means IMG, na? That means we will use IMG. The image preview we have to display. SRC is equal to what? Item dot image. So we will use width. Width is equal to some 50 and height is also 50. A small image we will display. After that, another cell. Here we want to display item dot price. This is cart items array we want to display there. Now what happens initially? You can see here, when I select this, it will show empty. There are no items in the cart. Suppose I am selecting a category jewelry and I click solid gold palette. So it will add and say, okay, now you have one item in the cart. And I click on that, that item will come. So which item you added in the cart, you are displaying that item. Now here I am selecting another option, some men's clothing. I selected another item, add to cart, it is added. Now you have two items in the cart. And I click on the second one, it will display those two items are in the cart. Right? This is a simple design. And remember, what is the content given to a React developer? Only data. And in which format it is given? JSON. This is all developers design. That means they will just give you plain data and they will say that now create this. They will ask a lot of functionality. They will say that add filtering, add sorting, add searching, which we will see certain examples and you can try some examples. Right? So now this is a simple functionality happening. Now, very important is later, because we haven't learned events. After learning events, we will add some more functionality to this. Like you can delete items from cart. You can edit items in cart, right? You can display the summary of cart, how much they need to pay. Such calculations and such interactions we can design. So initially, suppose you see I'm designing like this. Actually, what you can do is later in the last cell here, I am adding a button. And here I will put a class name BTN danger. And here I will put a span class name BI trash fill. And you can see actually when you click on that, those items will come like this. Now what should happen when user clicks on this delete button? That item must be deleted. That item must be deleted from the cart. And again the cart count must be updated. Right? For that little bit more event handling techniques you have to learn. Then you can manage such concepts. Right? Initially, this is enough first level. This is only first level. Right? In the first level, we are consuming the data from API. We are creating a good interface with the help of Bootstrap and JavaScript jQuery techniques we have. We are not using JavaScript directly here. We are using all React. But React is using JavaScript methods for fetching the data, interacting with the data, array methods. All these are JavaScript methods. So this is one simple concept of this example. I hope you are clear. You understood this. We can implement now these buttons also. These also we can make functional. That means when user clicks home, again all must come. User clicks electronics, only electronics should come. Then you can make them as clickable buttons and you can implement a functionality for them. That means actually what you have to do, suppose I click on home, you see these are the links we are having at the top. That means home, electronics, these are the options we are having. Usually what I can do here, suppose I'm creating a button here. In the button, we have that home word. That means that is having that home. And for that appearance, I'm giving a class as btn link like this. That means we are creating like a link button, right? Or I just give a btn option here. Btn is nothing but just it is a button. So we have some text white. Actually, text white is used for buttons. You can see that will come. Now this is a button actually now. On this button click, I want to load all products. Of course, you can write it. Nothing special in that. What you have to do, we have to write on click. This is which one? Handle home click. On handle home click, we have to write that function here. We need to write the function here. What is the function? Function is handle home click. On handle home click, what we have to do? We have to load all products now. Just we have to call a method load products, which is already created. This load products should load all products. HTTP:/, what is it? Fakestoreapi.com/what products. It will load all the products. That means now you see here, I am refreshing this face. Okay. And you can see here, user selected some jewelry. Only jewelry comes. And I click on home at the top. Then it should get all products and show. The same thing you can implement everywhere, right? Only electronics, only footwear, only fashion. You can select from drop down or you can choose from the menu. We can create from the menu. So users can select a category. User can select any category and user selects add to cart. That item is added to cart. Then okay, it will display here, right? So you click on another product that is also added to cart. Now we have 2 items in the cart, right? This is basically how we design a simple interface with the data that we got, right? First, up to this, you need to understand, right? You need to try this. You need to try this example. I will copy this entire example to you. So this is actually shopping. So shopping, fake store shopping API. That's example we are taking here. So in this example, we added a component, fake store component.css, fake store component.css. In that we have this fake store component.js x. Fake store component JSX. Let's copy all this code. Fake store component JSX. This is the code. One more. I will show here index.js. In index.js, we installed Bootstrap and all. Let me copy all this for you so that you will get a clarity on all. Just I'm copying the entire code, right? So that means this is the code that is in index. Only extra one thing you have to do today in index. What is it? You have to include Bootstrap bundle. Actually, Bootstrap bundle is enough for using all Bootstrap related components. We can create a lot of Bootstrap components and work with them. But for that, you need to learn and you need to know how to use those Bootstrap bindings, data BS target, data BS toggle. What is a model, what is a accordion, such things we need to understand. So this is the complete example which you saw up to now, right? So, but here we are communicating with the API and we are designing all this using fetch promise. Now, the question here is, what are the issues with the fetch promise? What are the issues with fetch promise? That means currently we are using fetch promise in React to communicate with our APIs, which is okay. It is working fine. We are doing everything fine. It's okay. But what is the problem with fetch is, first point is fetch returns. It returns data in binary form. That means directly the data is not in JSON form. It returns in binary form. You have to translate. That means you have to parse the data into which format? JSON format. You have to parse into JSON format. Another important point is, means conversion is required. Data conversion is required every time. So what is problem in these conversions actually? So browsers may block COM marshalling, block COM marshalling. Actually, COM marshalling is common object model. COM marshalling is nothing but converting an object into binary, converting an object to binary, and vice versa. That means again binary to object. This is called COM marshalling. That means translating binary to object to binary. And if any binary conversions are happening, browsers thinks it is a suspicious data. That means browser thinks that somebody is trying to hack your application, because binary conversions are always suspicious. So because virus, infections, everything comes through binary conversions only. That is the reason browser thinks that it is some suspicious data and it may block your data. So CORS issues will come. CORS is nothing but cross origin resource sharing. Cross origin resource sharing means from one API to another, means we learn distributed computing. Distributed computing means what? Two applications can share information between them. That means cross origin sharing, right? One origin is client, another origin is server. Cross origin sharing, and through conversion it is sharing, it will be blocked. Many browsers will block converting of data which is shared across origins. This is not good. That means in certain occasions your data may block. Suppose when you are trying API and you are using some old version browsers, once API data is not coming, go to console and see. In the console, you will find an error called CORS, CORS. If you see that error CORS, that is not problem in your code. That is the problem in browser. Browser is not supporting conversion. So better upgrade your browser or use a better browser which can handle the CORS. Handling this CORS is manually required to do in server-side technologies. This is one big issue. Fetch, what happens? It is not directly getting the data. It is converting. Converting data is always time-consuming process and it is always suspicious process. That is the reason there is a lot of threat that data cannot come to our application. And another point is actually fetch promise is using JavaScript catch method, which is poor in error handling. You know already JavaScript error handling. In JavaScript, you learned how to handle exceptions, try, catch, throw, finally. And you know that JavaScript cannot throw any exception directly. It cannot find the problems easily. You have to manually throw the exception and catch. That means there is an exception handler, but it is poor in handling exception. So error tracking is difficult. Where problem occurred, which problem occurred, it is not clear. Because you know general JavaScript, na? Suppose I will show you. Actually, in JavaScript, you might have learned that. Suppose in JavaScript, I am writing a script here. Just I am showing you the point. Script. In the script, I said var A is equal to 10, var B is equal to some 2. I am using var C is equal to A/B, A divided by B. And we are printing document.write C is equal to the value of C. So this is division. That means we are dividing and we are displaying some value. And you can see we are dividing and displaying some value like this. C is equal to 5. Now, if I try to divide anything by 0, you can't divide anything by 0. Then actually an exception should fire up. And that exception should tell us that cannot divide by 0. But here it will not do that. It will show infinity. That is not great. You can write exception handling also. That means I am writing exception handling. How? I am writing try. In try these statements. And we are writing here catch. We are writing catch. Catch uses a callback function. So it is using a callback function. And in this callback function, it can catch the exception what it is having. Actually, catch itself is a callback. So catch, we have try. Yeah. So catch, we are having the callback function, exception, and this exception we want to print, document.write exception. Now catch is unable to catch the exception. It is unable to catch the exception. Then what you have to do? You have to manually throw. That means you have to manually throw like this. Throw. What we have to throw? If b is equal to 0, then we have to throw a message saying that cannot divide by 0. This is what we have to throw. Then it will display that message. That means, is it internally able to catch that? No. Even there is a catch method, it is unable to catch the exception. Then what is use? There is no clarity. There is no good error handling. Of course, JavaScript don't have good exception handling, right? Especially when you are dealing with your front-end HTML, it is poor in error handling. It cannot track the errors. So this is not great in monitoring the errors and reporting the errors. You have to manually do everything. That is the reason actually this fetch is having, you see this fetch is having a catch option also. It is having catch. But this catch cannot catch the reason. If due to any technical reason, it is unable to access the data, it can't catch it properly. That is always JavaScript problem. Then we have to manually throw the issues, catch the issues and identify. That's not great. So that is the reason we say that this is poor in which one? It is poor in error handling. It is poor in error handling. These are all some issues with the fetch. Issues in fetch. Now to handle these problems, developers are not satisfied every time with fetch. Then what developers do is, developers can use JQuery Ajax with React. They can use JQuery Ajax with React. Actually, jQuery provides some Ajax methods they can try. What is specialty about jQuery Ajax? jQuery provides Ajax methods. What is the specialty of these Ajax methods? Actually, Ajax methods default return data in JSON. So no conversions required. Directly data is returned in JSON. And very important is it can handles coarse issues, cross origin resource sharing issues it can handle. That means actually it reduces the browser compatibility issues which are more with fetch. Another important, it provides, jQuery Ajax provides lot of Ajax lifecycle methods. So which can track the Ajax process and report the errors. That means jQuery Ajax is having lot of Ajax methods which can track the problem at any level. That means it is having options like Ajax start. It is having options like Ajax stop. It have options like Ajax success. It have options like Ajax error. It have actions like Ajax complete. At every phase, it can identify problem. There is a problem in starting your request, it will report. There is a problem in stopping the request, it will report. There is a problem in successfully returning the result, then it will report. These are the various phases of jQuery Ajax. We are not learning jQuery here, right? I am just giving you a hint that React can use all jQuery techniques. But jQuery is not directly available. You have to install jQuery, you have to import jQuery, and then you can use jQuery. You can use jQuery methods. Let's see how we can do that. So these are all advantages when compared to fetch. That is the reason, depending on situation and requirements, React developers use fetch. So they can also use jQuery Ajax. How to use jQuery Ajax? Actually, jQuery Ajax syntax will be like this. We have $.ajax. Ajax uses Ajax options. Ajax options like we have a method. Method will be like get or post or put or delete, like this various methods. Actually, Ajax have URL. That means the path from where to fetch the data. Ajax have data. Data means on post, what data to submit, post data, right? What data to submit on post. Ajax have options like success. Success uses a callback function that returns functionality on success. We have a Ajax error. Error will return a functionality when there is a problem in Ajax. These are Ajax related options. This is the basic syntax of Ajax. So this is actually jQuery library. So React developers can use this jQuery library to communicate with the APIs, get the data from API and return. But for that, you have to first install jQuery. Example, I will show you. First, you have to download and install jQuery library for project. And you have to do like this: npm install jQuery and save. You have to install the jQuery library for project. We need to do that. So we need to install jQuery library for project. Let's do. Open the project location and open in terminal. In the terminal, you have to install npm install jQuery and save. We are installing jQuery library. Download and install the jQuery library. So this is the jQuery library installed. After installing jQuery library, where you want to use the jQuery library, import jQuery library into component. Into component you can import where you want. That means you have to just use import. Entire jQuery library is present under a reference $. It is present under the reference $. If you know jQuery library is completely present in a $ reference. You have to import $ from jQuery. That's it. That means all jQuery methods are accessed with reference of $. With reference of $. Usually all jQuery things are defined here. Now you can implement. How to implement? So implement Ajax. So we have to just use $.what Ajax. And all the basic syntax is same I showed there. I will show you here. Let's see now. Now we will do one thing. In the same shopping example, here, what is this? Yeah, here you have load categories, load products. Okay, here we are having load products and load categories. They are currently using, these are currently using which one? Fetch. These are currently using fetch. I will comment this line /* and */. This is multi-line comment. So I am commenting that here. Okay, now let's run this and see. Actually, when we run that, and here let's refresh, the categories are not there, right? Now we need to access using jQuery. Okay, let's do that. First, we have to import jQuery. What to import? Import $. From where? We have to import from jQuery. That's it. After that, we need to access here. In the load categories, we will use, what is it? $.Ajax. I'm using $Ajax. $Ajax requires Ajax options. In that first method is what? Get. Because we need to fetch. From which URL? URL is what? http:// what is it? Fakestoreapi.com/what? Products/what? Categories. Okay. After that, next we have success. Success uses a callback function. This callback function will get response. Success will use a callback function. This will get a response. What this response have to do? This response contains, in Ajax, response is not directly data. Actually, in fetch, response is directly data, but Ajax contains more good error handling. So actually, in jQuery Ajax, response contains lot of details like status code, right? It contains status text. It contains data. That means status code, status text is nothing but what it will do. Status code returns 404, 200 like that. 200 means okay. 404 means not found. Means it will identify whether the requested URL is correct or not. And it will report that. So we don't want status code and status text. We want data, right? Response data. What we have to do now is this response data we need to add into this set categories. So set categories Set categories is equal to response. Response dot what? Data. The response data is stored into set categories. We are adding that response data into categories. That is what we are doing. Now, what is the difference you saw here? We don't need to convert into JSON. Am I right? Response is not required to convert into JSON because directly response data comes in JSON. On success, we have to just assign that. Now let's run this and see here. You can see when I run this here. So some problem is there. Where the problem? Set categories. On success. That means that the data is not coming. Let's check. Success uses a callback function. This callback function will set I'll just use temporarily console.log and console.log. What is it? Response. I'll just see this first. I will open the console log and this console log is having that is map. Okay. This array is coming. Array is coming with all these categories. Length is coming. So load categories. Response.data. So this response is not coming. Let's check only response. It is accessing all the data in binary form only. Directly data is coming. What is it? Set categories. Set categories. What is it? Response. Okay, all the data is directly coming here. Okay, it's working fine, right? So it is accessing all the response data here. Response data here. Actually, the response contains data and other details. Actually, this is using error. Yeah, error. We have a response and implies. What is that? Console.log. So response dot we have here we are having status code and status text. This is defined. So that means actually this response itself is directly returning what? JSON. Directly it is returning the JSON data. And status code, status text are returned in which function? Error. Callback function. It is using that callback function. So here we will use the callback function. That means what we will do, we will use response dot what? Status text. Okay, status text. Now what happens is here we are fetching the data. Let's open the console inspect. And in the inspect, we are going to console and check in the console. You can see the data is collecting all the data. Now, what happens when I refresh? It is accessing the data and displaying. Now, when there is a problem means this path is wrong. That means the categories, the path is wrong. Then if the path is wrong, you can see it will show the console log. It shows that error, parsing error. Parsing error. That means it gets that exception and it will display the exception. What is that? That means there is some problem here. What is that problem? Is parsing error. Suppose we want to display more detailedly about that error, then we can write the complete status. That means actually this response is related to error. I will just use response here. That means you can see all the details will come. What are all the details about the response? You can see it will show all the options. What are the problems? Means all the response details. It is going to display and the text is parsing error. All details will come. All response details will come. So many details so that we can easily understand where the problem occurred. So this will be better in error handling if you are dealing with this. But actually we don't need that. So I just written it. Now I run this and you can see it can access the data. Everything same. We have to use what? Response dot what? Push, or we have to use what? Unshift. Unshift what? All. That means it is going to add one more item into that list. So at the top, it is going to add all. And all the functionality will be similar. There is no change. Just only the difference. We used an JQuery Ajax instead of using fetch. But in majority, in real world projects, you will not see people using JQuery also. Because we have more better API related third parties. We can implement them. So, and one of the popular such is we have Ajex. Ajex is another third party. And by using this third party, we can implement the same concept. If you know the final, which one is best, then you can try only that. You don't need to mix up with all of this, right? So the same you can achieve with the jQuery. I think now you can implement for products everywhere. Just what you have to do, instead of fetch, you need to replace this with what? Ajax. jQuery Ajax. Ajax have method, Ajax have URL, and Ajax have success. So success and error. These are the 4 options you need to configure. I hope you can try this. I will give an example here. Same concept, just example is Fakestore.component.what? JSX. Just I added the same example with a little bit change in the request. Now there is another third party. What is that third party? Another third party, lot of other third parties are there. We have another third party called Ajex. If you want to know how many third parties are there, what are different types of third parties available, or I told you 1-2 third parties here, but rarely, sometimes in your companies, they may not be using that. They may be using some other third party. It's not necessary that everybody have to use the same that you have seen, you have learned. But once you know one third party, others you must able to explore by yourself. All that information you can get from this official website, npmjs, npmjs.org. npmjs.org. This is the official node package manager library. Here you can search for any third party and you can install, you can use. You can get all the information about third parties here. For example, I am searching here React API. I'm just using React API. Then it will show in the search results. So different types of React API methods available. You can see so many. You can see so many React API related options are there. There is an option like cross fetch. It is using what WG fetch API. There are so many third parties will be available. It's not necessary that everybody have to use only what you have learned, right? And if I search here some Ajex, it will get the information about Ajex. And it is not just Ajex. There are so many other options also. That means there are so many. They are used for communicating with the APIs. So many are there, right? Actually, developers need to explore these third parties and implement them according to the requirements. There is no chance that you will learn every third party which is used in every company, right? You one third party you learn, others you must able to explore and handle them. I will show you the source, how to handle. Now we will see the same, how we can use with another third party called Ajex. And if you can do that, then you can stick to one. Which one is best? You can use that for every example. Okay. First you try up to this, right? You try to design this, then how to use the same example with a third party called Ajex that I will show you tomorrow, right? In tomorrow, if you can do that, then we can go more into components like style binding, class binding, event binding. So many concepts are there. Currently, we are discussing data binding. These all topics you are learning under a topic called data binding. We will learn style, class, and others in the next scenario, right? Then tomorrow we'll continue with that. Okay.